Hello there. I am so glad that you're joining me tonight on Fate Mag Radio, the online voice of Fate Magazine, because this has been a big week. And as most of you know, especially if you read the magazine, we are a UFO based format. Our first article, our first edition, was about the Kenneth Arnold experience, where he saw the 7 discs and coined the phrase flying saucers because they look like saucers. And it's just one of those things that is bizarre. And it's getting more bizarre by the minute. I brought you a show last week about the experiences going on, the information being released, and those videos were interesting. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did, because I love watching them. You know, this is stuff that we've been hearing about and discussing for a long time. And it's just one of those, it's a whack job, right? We've been told forever and ever, I'm going to adjust this. We've been told forever and ever, amen, that this is not a thing. There's no way this can be a thing. If you believe in UFOs, you must be a freak, or at least mentally deficient, or perhaps just insane. Turns out we're not. And for people who have been experiencers for all of their lives, there's so many. This is a big, hairy deal. Al is being bashful again. We cannot have that. So we're going to bring him over here with us. But one of the things that I'm so surprised by is the matter-of-factness of the discussions of this topic. I'm going to close that door because that is cutting my head in half. Bear with me. And it may not bother you, but it is bothering me. So I can't stand it. But seriously, we've been told we're crazy. My parents thought I was nuts when I said that there was something that was lighting up my sister's in my bedroom. I was in 7th grade. I saw a UFO. My dad and his National Guard buddies told me it was a helicopter. It was not a helicopter. I just watched them jumping out of them. So I knew that that was not what I was seeing. I am so validated. I'm so validated by the fact that these are government files coming out. Now, I've heard a lot of people that I admire a lot. I'm not going to lie, these are people I think the world of, who are telling people that this is not what we're seeing. One of them is an expert with MUFON, and he is really good, and he is really smart. And he's also got a lot of government contracts, and he does a lot of work. And he's also one of the most brilliant men I know. And so when I was listening to his take on this, and he said that all of the things that you're going to see blown up in these videos, they're all balloons. I will say that there's a possibility of that. I'm also going to say that not everything we're seeing are balloons. Not everything we're seeing are airplanes. They're not man-made craft. They're not things that that can be explained that easily. And while I am going to disagree with him on some of the things, but I'm not going to disrespect him or anyone else that has a dog in the fight of following the government line, not compromising the government's input, How's that for tactful? And like I said, as a friend, as somebody I know to be one of the smartest people around, and there's that. So I'm excited. Do y'all want to start with one? Are you ready? I'm ready. And we have a chat room here. You can, if you're listening to me, there should be a chat room to the side of you. The only place that you cannot chat with me is going to be from X. The chat there does not convey to our screen here, and I apologize for that. But if you're on any of the other platforms, if you're on Facebook, if you're on your phone, wherever you are, you should be able to get to me from any of our platforms. I've got 2 Facebooks, I've got a LinkedIn, I've got 2 YouTubes, and they should all be in the post. So grab it and growl. I want to hear you. So let's go to one. This is the first one, and this one is, I believe, it's only 36 seconds. So nope, that's not right. This one is going to be 4 minutes and 46. That's pretty long. Are you up for a long one? Let's give it a growl. It's still running. There's no sound. Okay, the last one was probably a balloon, but in the course of viewing this video for the first time, I was not sure what I was expecting to see, because I've seen people who have found them and it looks like little balls of light flicking around everywhere. And they're not generally, they don't move like airplanes. So when I started going through these, I thought, well, this is going to be interesting because they don't move the way that I've seen things move, but there's a lot of theories, okay? Like my friend who thinks that everything that's being shown, well, actually, things that are blown up, there's one that you will see that's really a spectacular explosion, and it does look like there's pieces of balloon going everywhere. I'll buy that. I'll even buy that some of these also would be. But it's just interesting to me because there's so many different movements in the video that we just watched. And I'll be glad to revisit that toward the end of the show. But if you want me to do that, I'll be glad to. Just let me know and we will move it along. Now, this is our second video. Let's see what it looks like. And this is not the video, this is my computer. I don't know where I went. So we're going to try that one again. It's only a 24-second video. We did see the whole thing. Let's see if we can see it all at one time. Isn't that cool? Isn't that cool? I just love these things, and I'm not going to lie. That's probably one of my favorites. And what I find to be so interesting is that they just, I mean, I wish we had the audio to these videos because I think that would be so much better. And I hate that that got pulled on the ones that most of the ones that I went through. So, you know, that one, that is moving faster than it would appear there. But the main thing is that we don't have anything, according to the powers that be, that moves this way. Not that fast, not that shape, not that size. And I just think it's cool. And that is not unlike what I have seen in my sky. And I live near an air refueling wing. I do not live with a base near me. We do have Maxwell Air Force Base in Montgomery, Alabama. And when I'm on the Gulf Coast, I pretty much write off most of the things that I see because NAS Pensacola is right down the beach from me. So I don't have a skeptical mind. I have a mind that I want to be sure of what I'm seeing. And it's a lot of fun. We're going to get to things that do have video here in a little bit, and you're going to love that. So we did the 4-minute one, the 24-second one. I just love this. So if you have any questions, again, just put them in there because I would love to see them. Now, this is another 4-minute one. Some of these are kind of long, But man, they're amazing. I couldn't not share them. You think it knows where the targeting camera is? So what? Is that Koi to sing with them, or I mean, seriously? It's just amazing. Andy's gone, but there he goes over there. I am, you know, it was messing around in the targeting range. It was in the targeting capture area. And then the other one is there, just there. So, do they know, obviously, what we can do? Do they know what our people can do? Do they look like they have any fear of us? They really don't. So, I just find that so amazingly cool. And if most of the people that I talk to at conferences, the people that I talk to who are experiencers, people who have been abducted, people who have um, not had a good experience, they are the ones who, if they were to see something like this, the people that are abductees with negative experiences, if they see something like this is going to trigger them so hard, right? And the Betty and Barney Hill story, they were seeing lights in the sky, a light in the sky such as that, and didn't know what it was. So their fear was very real. And it was not a positive experience for them. And if you are not familiar with that, you can Google that and listen to some of their history. And my friend Kathy Martin is their niece, and she's had experiences as well. She's a great, researcher in the field. She worked with Stan Friedman, and they wrote a lot of books together, have a lot of knowledge. But it's still something that if you have been in that position, I can't even really imagine what seeing something like this again will feel like. And so if you are watching this and you're feeling triggered, I'm so sorry. That's not the intent. And please reach out. I know people that counsel experiencers. And if you haven't had that help, I can help you find it. But we're going to move on. And I'm just absolutely not sure what to say. This is this is another. This is just a 34-second one. I don't want to. Yes. Could that be a balloon? That could be a balloon, but it separates. Okay. So that's something, and that's something that is a frequent sighting. The two playing together like that or traveling together like that. It's not very often. I can't say that. I haven't seen enough to know. But based on what I've seen, it's really not common for there to be just one in the vicinity. I'm going to just roll with that. And, something else, those were obvious orbs. Those did not seem to morph in shape. They did not seem to really fade in and out much. They did to a degree, but not just disappearing, going away. And so those are something that I think tends to make me believe that they would be real. As real as we can find with this. I mean, these are not records that I just pulled up. These are not things that I just went out and found. These are not things that I just had somebody send me. These are actual downloads from the March 22nd download, release from the DoD, Department of War, whatever your color Kool-Aid is. If you go to look for them, it's Department of War UFOs. So that's how you find them. Can't get Department of Defense. But it's really so mind-blowing. And I just think this is amazing. And if you're coming in late, I went ahead and posted the link back on my Facebook so that everybody would stand a chance of finding it. And there's that, because I couldn't find it. And something I am going to tell you is that every time I do a UFO show, weird stuff happens. It's like bizarre. But it's never boring. So, but I do really want feedback, because this is fun. Okay. Now, is this the one that we just did? I'm going to do it again because I don't want to miss one. It is. Look at that water. Isn't that water pretty? So they were on real cameras and switched to what looks like night vision. Blows me away. He's like, oops, awesome. Oops, found them. And they overshot them. So I will eventually run out of these and we're just going to have to talk about them. But that's okay. It's another longer one. See what you think. Now, they're not three. How bizarre, right? Makes you wonder what their interest in that was, I think. I wish they hadn't taken the sound out of that one because I think there was probably some colorful conversation there. And I don't know that those weren't oil platforms. I don't know what those were in the water. But I do know that the things flipping around, you know, zipping around there were not. So we may come back and revisit that one just because, or we could do it now. Do you want to see it again? I want to see it again. Like I said, in the water looks like a structure. The thing flying by them also looked like a structure of type. Um, let's look at that. I wish they had not redacted the sound. This part blows me away. Because it is moving, not the camera. That's not a stationary object because nothing else was affected. Maybe not. And hey, a solar pro. It is hard to see, but it's really like there's a craft there. And that to me is kind of interesting. And see, to me, that looks stationary, like a rig of some type. But they have taken the sound out of these. So, and any geolocation information. Oh, thank you. You're welcome. And see, I think these are craft. I don't know what time, but obviously, whatever is being resourced there, they have an interest in. Or, maybe they're concerned for the quality of our seas. I mean, it's just really, there's so many factors that could be going into this. It just blows my mind. And I love it. I have loved this forever. I think it's so much fun. I think it's so important. I think that, there's so many people. I have heard the Navy pilots speak who have been involved, publicly come out with some of this information. I've spoken with experiencers who have seen this, right? Um, there's so much information that as you go through the history, the recent history, it's really cool. And Gemini 5 in 1965 went over Antigua and said they were being followed by something. Were you in Antigua at that time? Did you see anything? Were you aware of anything? This is in chat, so I'm sorry. And if you're not in chat, get there. It's a lot of fun. So far, a Solar Pro is flying solo in there. So, but I know that several of our people are, oh, okay. You were a child. I was a child when I saw my first thing. So, and my dad and his friends lied to me. So there's that. But anyway, I am just so interested. We do have some NASA recordings coming up toward the end, and some of them were just like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. This is a lot. I think it's a more interesting release to me. Granted, I didn't put everything up that we got in the first one. I'll probably add more. We'll do a good mix at some point. I don't want to bore people with this, but I find it fascinating, so I could talk about it all day. But I think this is really a monumental time for us as humans. We're so busy. We're in a war, right? There's people fighting and killing and you know there's wars in a lot of places, and all the way from tribal stuff and small communities to the big stuff that we see on the news that we hear way a lot about. And when you look at stuff like this and you realize that our pilots don't know what they're interacting with. They 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 know that they're outclassed as far as the speed, the maneuverability, um, the transmedium abilities of these craft. And, it's just it's something that takes our warriors aback, because we're the best that we have on the human plane. And then they see something like this, with the Tic Tacs. The guys that were piloting, I've heard speak, and they were blown away by the abilities exhibited. And like I said, the transmedium abilities alone, air to water to air, we can't do that. I mean, it's just the coolest thing ever. But yeah, we're probably going to get a little loud here because the hubster is coming in and the dogs will react probably. So apologies. But, I think it's just the best thing ever that we're actually being given this, because, the poor people, Solo Pro in chat is an experiencer. I'm an experiencer. I have seen these, and people have been told, you're crazy. There's no way. This is not a possibility. This can't be happening. You did not. You must have been drunk or high or having an episode or whatever. And it's something that people don't come forward because they don't want to be tainted with that brush. And it's not a bad brush. Now we know that this is real. Our government, I don't know why they felt the need to hide this information. There were too many people having too many experiences and being told they were crazy, being told they were liars, being told they were attention seeking. And they weren't. Our government had these files. They knew this was happening, and they made people out to be, crazy. And that really burns my britches. It really does. So we're going to keep moving. But I will say that I heard somebody that I like a lot, that I know pretty well, not real well, but George Norrie was on with the Clay and Travis show this week. And I listened to most of his interview. And I've been on Coast to Coast Radio, and I've had George on with me. And he's such a gentleman, and he's so smart. And he was in the Navy. He was a very special person in the Navy. He was one of 7 people in a program that they had. And he's really special. And it was the guy Clay that was interviewing him. And he was like, well, what do you think about this? And what do you think about that? And one of the things that interested me the most, he was like, well, Clay asked him something about the church. And George said, well, the Catholic Church, how did he put up? The ETs don't rule out God, and the creator's needed for everything. The creator created, but the Catholic Church does not rule that out. And I found that interesting because I had not really contemplated that. But a lot of people feel like it would question our whole faith structure because of it being, God created the heavens and the earth. Well, it's not just this planet. I don't know how people would take that, would take offense, but that's just me. I just find it interesting. So, and oh, okay. So, Solar Pro says some of the astronauts' recent release were seeing a UFO and asked if what they were saying was being recorded. They said, "Make sure you censor this so the public does not find out," and that's true. I remember that. Well, we've got, like I said, we've got a lot of recordings are going to that are going to pick up a lot of that because they won't call them craft. You know, the guy on Gemini in the Gemini program that I played last week was like, "Yeah, I have a bogey," and they were like, "You have a what? A what?" And there was a craft with him flying with him. That was Gemini, right? That's been a while. It's been a hot minute. So I got to find my place again. Let's see. Wait, that's the one I just played. Let's look at this one. This is longish also. And the background noise is my husband. Well, I think they're playing with us. There's not one here. I'm kidding. Of course, there's one there. It's an interesting and different shape than what we've seen so far. And didn't that look like that just got hit and it's not moving? Look at that sucker go. That's so amazing. And see, I think it's just messing with them with getting into the near the targeting. And there's another. They don't seem to really travel solo. You'll hear when we listen to some of the NASA audio that there's always something else there. Isn't that cool? I love this stuff. So I am just, I can't believe we finally have something to look at. I'm so excited. I am just so, I'm so appreciative of the fact that we finally, as a populace, are trusted enough by somebody to let us see this. I don't hear people, running in fear. I don't hear people crying out that this is the wrong thing, that we shouldn't be doing this. How on earth can we, whatever? You know, I think that that's the way that it just does. And, oh, this is a great question. And I'm going to be honest. The question is, what do I think of Robert Temple's book, A New Science of Heaven and Plasma Being Conscious? And I haven't read the book, but I don't know that I think there's consciousness in things that we're not recognizing. And as time goes by, we have found that a lot more responds cognitively, apparently, or at least what we would call an emotional level, to how it's spoken to, how it's treated, whether it's spoken to at all. We see that with plant structure, we see that with water, we see that with what are some of the, well, other stuff, perhaps plasma. But I do think that there is various cognitive levels that we don't act like we see. I know we're aware of them because we feel them. You know, um, flowers make me happy. And it's not just because they were given to me. I can buy my own flowers and be thrilled, right? Because having them around me makes me happy. I don't grow them because they don't like me. I kill things. I hate that. Although I do have some jade plants that seem to be thriving. We're not going to push our luck. But, dogs and children and babies and other animals, birds, they love me. I absolutely don't get that. Even when I'm not, because I feed birds now, but I don't spoil them much, maybe a little. But, I put out the stuff for hummingbirds, I put out seed for birds, and I pay attention to what they eat and don't eat. I don't buy the kind that have the little hard red seeds in them anymore because my birds don't eat those. So, and I have a vast variety. Every so often we'll get a bluebird There's one here that loves his reflection in the mirror of my husband's car. So he sits on my husband's car door or the door handle and flirts with himself all the time. But yeah, that's a level of consciousness, right? He's trying to find a mate. He just found a mirror, but he's happy. And, I have hummingbirds, and I wouldn't touch after they left because they migrate. I found their nest when I was just cleaning up a tree, and I didn't touch that nest because I don't know if they come back to that or not. And I didn't want them to come and not have a home. Somebody told me they make a new one every year, but I don't know. That original one is still there because I didn't touch it. But, we interact with different species all the time. I'm a beach person. I'm a water person. I love dolphin. I love sharks, but I'm not going to get in the water with one on purpose. I did by accident one day because of an inflatable kayak. That's a whole different story. Do not get in an inflatable kayak on living water, living, moving water. Bad decision. If it's got a tide, get in a real kayak. But I got stuck. The tide got me. But and a great big shark, and I know he's big because I saw his fin, had just gone by. And like 10 minutes before I hopped on that thing, that was an idiot thing to do. Pay attention and think. Don't just be enamored with the new toy. But I think that back to these visitors that we have, they choose to come to us. We can't go to them that we know of. But when we go off planet, they're there. And I can't think of too many times that I've been aware that they were not based on the pilots of the craft that I've spoken to or that I've read their work. Or, it's just amazing to me that we put people in craft, leaving our atmosphere where they can't survive without their craft, knowing that there are others in craft that we're ostensibly not aware of flying beside them, checking them out. At what point do we think that there might be a danger with that interaction? And we still send people up there. And I'm going to give a level of information of credibility to these powers that be that they may or may not deserve, and think that they're not sending people up there without that knowledge and without some idea of a method to come through that. I mean, it's just a weird thing, right? But it's just interesting. And you'll hear why here just in a minute. But now I have to find my place again. Sorry. That was that one. I'm going to look at this one. Again, there's no sound. I don't know where this is. Bear in mind, there's no sound. There's no way I can know what's happening there. And I wish that I could understand what's happening here. I could if I knew where it was. I'm. Can you see my cursor? Because to me, they're actively seeking it. Here, if you can see my cursor there. But that's so slow moving. I don't know. I don't know what that was. I don't know why they felt that that was something that was just blowing them away, right? But I will say it's the government. And I feel like anytime that they find an anomaly or an anomalous thing that they can't explain, that makes them very uncomfortable. So they're going to have the footage, but it does seem that one didn't really look that extreme to me. But what do I know? I am not a pilot that's going to be worried about somebody trying to shoot me down either. Let's see. Well, now I've lost my place. All right. This one looks more cloud based. Let's see what this is. Nope, ground based. What is that? Yeah. I'm not seeing anything except for whatever this is right here. I don't see what they're seeing. If you do, please feel free to pop that in the comments. Sure. It is that. That's moving. Can you see that? These are so cool. No? Yeah, because it's moved away from the targeting sphere, targeting site. Interesting, but it's not moving quickly. Is that all that you're seeing also? And if that is that, I would say that that's moving much lower than satellites that I've seen. So, um, I didn't see a UAP. I just saw that little whatever that shape was. So, I don't know. Oh, you couldn't see the cursor. So, well, now I know the answer to that. So, you know, the whole thing with that one is that there obviously was something there that I couldn't see if it was not that little whatever that was moving farther away from the targeting frame. But was I the only one that saw that since you couldn't see my cursor? Do you want me to play that again? Um, let me, I won't play the whole thing. Let me see if I can get to a particular point because that's a pretty long. right near the targeting crosshairs, I saw something come up. So when I see it again, I will say so, and you can look to the right of the crosshairs. Because I didn't really see anything else that looked, oh, there it went. Did you see that? And now there under the targeting squares is a little anomaly looking thing. It's right above where the brackets of the square are. And it just gradually, slowly moves up. But the UFO, or UAP, that it shot left right. Do you see the little thing? Okay. But that is continuing to move farther up. And through this, once they came out of the clouds, that really was the only thing that I really saw that was changing it all. And right now I don't see it, but I don't see the crosshairs either. And it strikes me as odd that they are using targeting cameras. I guess that would be to get distance information, things of that nature. There it is, it's back. And it's coming up just past the center of the crosshairs, the center point, and it's moving up. And that looks like daylight. So I would say that I have seen things that look like tin cans that actually were linked together that didn't have a shape much different from this. And I heard a MUFON expert tell someone that had a video of that they filmed out in Arizona, that it was a refueling. No. What did he tell him it was? I don't remember. Oh, he told him it was Starlink, but they were big. And I had not seen Starlink yet, so I didn't know better. And I guess the guy didn't either. So I saw something like that from my deck. Bear in mind, I do live next to a refueling wing. So I thought, oh my gosh, this is so exciting. I just saw Starlink because I'd never seen it. So I told my friend about it when I saw the MUFON guy about it the next time I saw him. And he was like, that's not Starlink. And then he showed me Starlink. And I was like, well, that's what you told the guy. And he said, no, I didn't. Ooh. I have not seen a cross. I have seen a Tic Tac shape. And I have seen something I didn't know what the shape was. And I saw something that I thought was a Tic Tac because my friend said what that guy saw was a Tic Tac. So there's that. So anyway, it when I saw it, I thought, well, could that have been an air refueling procedure happening? Because it's close to my house, and they weren't flying. So because I actually helped design the unit coin for that unit. So um, that wasn't what I saw because I can ask. So it was just one of those things that, and I was so excited because I ran in the house and told my husband, I just saw, the Starlinks. And my friend said there would not be just two. So, well, okay. He was right. But I was still excited. Now, I'm going to run out of time. We're just going to start moving through these. And I don't know where this is. I don't know where any of these are. They removed all the metadata. So you cannot, unless you recognize something you know. See, there we go. There he goes. And I always wonder what goes through their mind when they realize there's something in the air they don't know. The unknown is something that can be frightening when you are feeling vulnerable, and this would have to be a vulnerable feeling. Fighter pilots are so smart and brave. All of our military are, though. And to me, that's just so interesting. And a friend of mine was telling me that everything we see them shoot is a balloon. I'm like, okay, I'll buy that. But everything that we see them track is not a balloon. Balloons don't move like that. Actually, he didn't tell me. He put that out on Facebook today. Oh, acquired target for a second there, didn't he? It's it's being evasive with it, but it's not really running from it, is it? I tell you what, God bless them indeed. I love our people that are brave enough to stand up for us when we can't be in the room. And that's every branch and every person. You see that motion there? Did it float or what? I'm not the only one saying that, right? Oh, thank you. I will look for that. I'm loving this. Are y'all loving this? And here I am again. I tell you what, I'm watching these as intensely as you are because it's fun. But, I like that this thing's just tooling around, and it's not really, it's kind of nonchalant, and that targeting, you know, hits, and it's not in the target anymore. It's not really like evasive music maneuvers, but that targeting doesn't hold. I love that. Let's see. Now I've lost my place again. If I play the same thing, I'll stop it and start over. Um, see what this is. Oh, it must be a turbulence. This one's shaky. Well, is that it on the? Because it's above the clouds. Thank you. Well, they're trying to figure out what that is too. Don't you wish they'd left the audio in here? I wish they had. Are they thinking they're in the center of the screen now? Because that seems to be where they keep coming to. That there's something in that cloud that's in the center now. Because that's the only thing I see that looks anomalous. And the black is still in it. black dot toward the bottom of the screen. That was so interesting. Oh man, I love this stuff. I'm such a nerd. But you know what? It's interesting. And, I would not, because I have never been anything but a passenger in a plane since I was a kid. When I was younger, I got to fly one. But it was interesting to me because it did seem that there was the black dot, it was above the clouds. And then when they started seeming to focus on it, it was in a cloud, like it was trying to hide. And I think that's interesting because why would they hide? They have so much more capability apparently than we do. I mean, for the most part, certainly in this century, they seem to, the latter part. But, I've heard so many people talk about different craft crashes, not Roswell, but, there were some before Roswell. And when you start thinking about that, it's like, well, they've obviously improved, probably just like our technical abilities have improved, but they were still coming here. So they were very well versed in what we were, that there was civilization here. There was, there was life here. And we always talk about the Earth being the only habitable planet, but we don't know what their needs are. We just know what our needs are. So would it be something that everyone would need, or are they just curious? Because that's just an interesting way to, I think, look at it. I've heard people talk recently about how, now we've got documentation that there are craft coming here. We still don't know what they are, why they are, but we know that they're here. And, in the course of George's interview with that Clay gentleman, the Clay and Travis show, it was brought up that there are so many people who disappear, and there are so many people who are just never heard from again. And I do know that, especially our national parks, so many people go missing in our national parks. That, there are predators, both human and animal, but they think that, maybe some of that are people that are taken, like in this instance. And I don't know if I believe that, because why would they just randomly take humans? When they took Travis Walton, that was because of an accident. It wasn't something that they appeared to have struck off to do. He was coming down with friends from a work site. They saw the craft, got out to look at it. He was walking around it. The craft started to take off. The backwash got him, and it would have killed him. And he was taken aboard and, gone, 7 days and healed. And I found that to be an interesting history. And when I got to meet him, I was just kind of like, really? And he was like, well, yeah. And, it turned out that one of his friends lived in Alabama, and some friends of mine and I were talking on Facebook about getting together to do a investigation. And this friend was like, well, I'd like to do that. I don't know you. Well, he was like, well, but a friend of mine. I was like, oh, okay. But weird. This is such a small world, right? People just pop up. But you know, the craft that Travis was taken on, he said that, when he started healing and rousing a little bit, that he looked up and they were insectoids, bugs, and it tripped him out. So he came up fighting, I guess, as much as he could, and so they left, and Nordics came back. So did they transform? Were there really two species there? At least two species on that craft, that the bugs were doing the work, and the Nordics came to calm the patient. I mean, I didn't know what to think. I still don't know what to think. But I do think that it was nice that they took him on their craft and tried not to leave a dead human behind, right? So, maybe there are incidents where other people have that misfortune of just coming upon a craft and they can't be saved. Or maybe there really are insects that want to just take people. Experimentation, study, pets. Who knows? I mean, we have dogs. They're intelligent. I don't know. I really don't know what I think about that. It's just weird. Let's see if I can find my place again. I'm so bad about losing my place. I can't lose it too many more times because we're going to need that. Let's see. Have we seen this one? No. There it is. Do y'all see that? Right in the center, right by the crosshairs. And now I lost it, but they're still trying to find it. Do y'all see it? I lost it, but they're still following something. This is why every time we come back from the video, I'm down in your face. Oh, I see it. I hope it's like Star Trek too. Forever Love Cats in chat said that they hope it's like Star Trek. That would be the best. I don't know where that came from. Just so you know, that was my video in Scotland. So, was that you? And that wasn't even in my media assets. It's a gift. I did not see that. Missing 411 David Politis presents an Idaho elementary teacher disappears on a jog. I think that's a serious possibility. I don't see why it wouldn't be, because they go somewhere. And I still think that if there was an animal attack or something of that nature, there would be a piece of cloth or something something to help with that. Well, I know that we saw that as we got into this a little bit up above, because I don't, there it is, up under the black box at the top, as it goes into the black box at the top. I swear, this is the coolest stuff. I just can't believe they let us see it. I mean, hello. Why was this so protected anyway? Are they trying to find where it went? Now, that first series of videos were really cool. I did not run all of them. I think I'm going to do a show where I just put all of them together and run them back to back to back to back and just let people watch them. Because this looks like it's over water. So I'm going to guess that it's a naval fighter. And their targeting systems are the best out there. So there on the right. And it's gone. And there comes something else. Oh, he's turning because his north is changing. He's hunting. He's hunting. I tell you what, if they can't find you, you're good. So here we go. We're going to move over to this one. We only have a few. Oh, we did that one. That's the same one we did. Yeah, we did this one already. Let's move down. Wouldn't it be amazing to be that pilot? I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the shadowy thing to the left is what they're tracking, because it looks like there's two of them. And they're the only constant there. Oh, okay, there comes the ball of light. Yep, they just acquired it and let it go. And it does not want to be reacquired. And it's going backwards and forwards, which most aircraft cannot do, even helicopters at that rate. Okay, that is pretty much hooning and gooning, which is Southern for going fast. And they've got it. They have it targeted. And it is still moving very quickly. Wow. And it's stopped and went on. It is evading. And it's gone. And it's coming from behind them. Wow. Wow. Okay. It evaded. That was so amazing. We're going to run out of time. We're going to run this one. This looks like the same video. This does look like the same video. I'm going to stop this one and we're going to go to the audios, if that's okay. So, and okay, I'm going to play this one.
Listen, we read this paragraph in here about these quotes coronal discharges that you guys were seeing, and that completely stops us. Tell us how this came about and who talked to you about it and what you saw.
Somebody reported it on one of the earlier flights that some guy up, I got the letter, there's paperwork somewhere, they shipped it down to me at the Cape about two things where the VHF radio noises, which could be discharges from someplace in space, and the other one were, I thought it was on Neil's flight, these guys reported seeing flashes in a spacecraft at night with their eyes closed. They noticed them when they were awake at night. The spacecraft was dark, and they thought they were in the spacecraft. But whoever this guy was to know, that's a perfectly known phenomenon. You can get discharge across your eye from gamma rays or something. So they had a bunch of things. Would we close our eyes and face the moon, when we were orbiting it, because it would be more, you'd get less discharges facing the moon than away from it. Well, you don't have to be anywhere near the moon or anywhere. The first night out, bing, bing. And if you keep your eyes closed and you're awake down there and it's dark and you think about it, when it happens, you can figure out, you can pin down that it's one eye. It's not a discharge that you see in both eyes. You really see it with one eye or the other eye, and you can see what kind it is. We had two kinds. I guess the particle either strikes the eyeball perpendicular or it discharges parallel. And we get either a flash like that or we get a streak. And I feel that I noticed. I either got a flash or a streak. And for some reason, got it more with my left eye than my right eye, but I could tell which eye it was when I was concentrating on it. I'm trying to tell you the reason he did it because where he slept was always on the left side of the spacecraft. And that stuff got switched from the cross there, and I caught all the right ones in my eye.
Yeah.
I remember laying I split out in
They should have protected you, Dick. They should have picked them all up.
I'm surprised you didn't hear about this because we were asked to specifically experiment with this kind of thing. There's 2 pages in the flight plan, a lot of it. We didn't bother because we were seeing it every now and then all the time. There's a paper right now on the exact thing, the 2 phenomena that came out of 11. Buzz and Neil talked about this.
I remember their conversation about it.
Sure. They thought it was something, penetrating the spacecraft. What Pete described is the exact phenomenon that all 3 of us saw. You see a light, just a flash out there, or sometimes it'd be a streak. And I saw them in both eyes, either eye, and I can't remember if there was one that was more predominant than the other. But I agree with Pete, it's a phenomenon that you're not seeing with both eyes. It's not something external to you, it's something that's
Inside you.
Coming across with that one eye. Apparently they know that. Apparently it's a completely known phenomenon.
Well, we've been looking for cosmic rays, cosmic ray strikes, and heavy particles, heavy nuclei that go through. We started at Clearback and Mercury taking photographs of the retina to see if you could see streaks across the retina and stuff. We never could find any in there. And so we stopped that up early in, by the end of the...
Your eye is the fastest healer on your body, and if it's doing anything, you're never going to see it. By the time you get a guy back, the only way you're ever going to see it is if you photograph it right after a particle went by.
Well, probably what it's doing anyway is probably hitting just a single cell, and yeah. That's all it'd have to do, particularly make this flash, you hit a single cell.
I saw one night, I was looking at the MDT, a handrail up above, and one ran right along, I don't know where it went, it appeared, right straight along that handrail for about that distance. And I just got to be looking at that, and you could almost see him at will. That's right, where you just lie there, you close your eyes, if you don't want to see one, you open one eye, and you have to already see it. You didn't believe it at first. We saw it the first night. And hey, I'm just sitting spring-loaded from that. What we heard. I asked Pete, he'd seen him and got playing in the beach, and they said the middle of the mission, you wake up at night and you say, well, I think I ought to see something. You can close your eyes on the things, you count about 1 minute.
Let me ask you one more question about heart. Oh, here.
Were these random distribution of these or did they seem to be fairly horizontal?
Okay, were these things random, or did they all seem to be in one direction? Like, were they always horizontal, or were they at random? They could be at any kind of angle.
But the streets I saw were mine, the ones I saw were horizontal. I was going to say, that's interesting. Mine, it seemed to me I had the impression that they were always roughly in the same place, and mine were horizontal. The horizontal streets were always, if I knew where I was looking, it always seemed like the horizontal street was a little bit above the center. And it always seemed to me it went from right to left, no matter which eye it was in. The discharges were more towards the center, and it would be just like a pinpoint of light went and closed again.
Like somebody was flashing a light at you.
That's right. Generally not too big a light at you. Yeah, it wouldn't fill your eye. Very small
Yeah.
dot.
Yeah.
It's a, I think it's about like a camera lens.
Is that about the same for both of you? Is that the same reaction you had, Dick and Al, the way Pete described it?
What's that? Yeah, mine were
Just
running
to-
about 30 degrees horizontal, but they were coming, I didn't notice them from the right or left.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah. But about the same, they seem to appear about the same place, no? Yeah, Pete says-
The horizontal ones that I saw were generally above eye level.
Same way, yeah.
Was generally high. Now, I don't know, I can't exclude any other, I can't remember, I just don't remember any of them being down in the lower part of the vision. Well, you see, Dick's telling you that, seeing him with his eyes open and other things that he centered his eye on, the lights on the instrument panel. Well, I used to notice them the most when I was down there in that sleeping bag. It was pitch black down there in the hole. It wouldn't make any difference whether my eyes were open or closed. And I could lay there I used to kill time that way, say for a half an hour, and either open them or close them and wait, and sure enough, after a while, you'd get one. And then I'd sit there for a while and say, okay, was it in the left eye or the right eye? It'd take you a while to sort it out. And, but you could usually figure out which eye it was in. Now you know what you do when you're supposed to be sleeping.
Yeah. There was a comment that.
And there you go. That's all we have time for tonight. But as they come out, I'll bring them to you because we've been waiting too long not to see them, right? I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you come back. I'll be back Wednesday night with Paranormal Experienced, and that's going to be fun too. So thanks for being here. Be blessed. Have a great week. And you know what? Just enjoy. It's your day. Good night.